What's going on, everybody? Wednesday night. That means only one thing: the DFS OGs in the house to break down 12 NBA basketball games. The news is coming in hot and heavy. We're talking about guys named O'Shea, wondering if Yogi Ferrell is really still in the league. We're here to talk NBA. We got a lot to break down here. So, as always, I'm your host, Chris Spearmakers Fan Prince, joined by my boys, Chop and Notorious Chop. First thing, we got to get the countdown. I know we talked about it last week, so we're going to make this a weekly segment of the show here. The countdown to when we don't have to talk about dude's name, O'Shea Brissett, who we will talk about here shortly. But how many days left here of the NBA regular season do we have going, Chop?
According to my countdown timer, we are 24 days and 19 hours away from the tip-off of the first game on that last Sunday of the NBA. So 24 days and 19 hours, and we put it in our rearview mirror.
Okay, so about 3 of these shows, and then we're into the playoffs. So, don't get us wrong. We love hanging out with you guys. We love talking NBA. We've all done our research, and we're ready to rock, but it's getting a little ridiculous here. So, no, the countdown is on, but tonight we got a lot of games to count down to. How we doing, buddy?
Yeah, doing good. My favorite time of year where guys we didn't know were on rosters, guys we don't know we're in the league, become core plays. So, yeah, it's that time of year. And it seems like it hit a little bit earlier than last year, if I remember correctly. It seems like this has been happening the last few weeks now, and it's only going to get worse the next few weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait. So that countdown's really going to start dragging on here as we get down into teens, things like that. But guys, like Devin said there in the chat, make sure you hit the like button. That's the way to tell us you're enjoying the show. You like hanging out on Wednesday nights. Also, special offer for you guys, and he'll drop the link in the chat. RG Premium NBA product. So this is the time of the year where you really need something like this to help you with guys like O'Shea Brissett and some of the value that's going to constantly be changing. So special offer, $5 for just 5 days, but limited time offer ends on April 23rd. So only a couple days to take advantage of that. So link is in the chat, guys. If you haven't tried it out yet, maybe you left, you want to come back. It's a great way to kind of dig back in and get into some of the projections, the news, and late breaking news is always going to be an issue in the NBA. So need every advantage you can get. So make sure you guys click that link and check it out. So guys, we got a lot to get to. We're going to have SBK joining us here at about 5:45. But in the meantime, let's start with injuries. So I want to turn it over to you guys and what injuries are really impacting your decisions here tonight. What are you keeping an eye on? Derek, let's start with you with the injury front. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so before we hopped on, the Clippers pretty much ruled out everybody. They're not going to have very many active players tonight. No Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard, Ibaka, Rondo, Reggie Jackson, all out. So that's going to be a good spot for value. And then the Pacers are going to be really shorthanded as well. No Miles Turner, Sabonis, and then they rolled out McDermott, Goga, Jakar Sampson. We still don't know if he's going to play. He's been suspended, but you were saying before the show he might be able to appeal it for a game or something. So keep an eye on that one. Jeremy Lamb also out for them. OKC's been shorthanded forever. That will continue tonight. The Bulls without Zach LaVine. And then before we hopped on, Doc Rivers for the Clippers said, there's a lot of guys that are on the edge of playing or not playing tonight. So who knows what that means? That doesn't help us one bit. Just call everybody questionable. So for right now, Simmons, Embiid, Harris, Seth Curry, all kind of questionable, all up in the air. So that's another situation to monitor. It's a tough matchup at home against the Suns, but certainly something to keep an eye on. Donovan Mitchell still out for the Jazz. Detroit, they're going to be missing two of their point guards in Killian Hayes, Dennis Smith Jr. We're still waiting on Tyler Hero. He's questionable for the Heat, and I'm sure I missed some, but those are the ones that I had on the top of my head.
Yeah, I think he did a good job there, Chop. Anything that he didn't hit on here? Obviously, Brooklyn is going to be shorthanded again. It'll be the Kyrie Irving show once again for the Nets. But I think most of them he nailed. Any other injuries that big ones that you're looking at that are impacting your lineup builds or things you're waiting to hit still?
Yeah, he nailed the big stuff that came in right as he started talking. Kevin Porter Jr. got ruled out for Houston, so that's going to open up some more something there for somebody. I haven't even thought about who that might help, but yeah, there's a lot of things going on here. The Indiana thing was the big one there for a while because thought we were going to get Goga and thought we were going to get some good value there. Now we're like looking for guys who we've never heard of before. So that's always not fun in the NBA, but I'm sure there's more stuff that's going to come in. So yeah, Lou Dort got ruled out. Now we kind of knew that, but man, I had some numbers for Lou Dort if he was playing today. He's put up some crazy numbers the last 10 days, and I had some good numbers ready, but he's out. So it's all moot point now.
Devin, obviously with us as well, is on a roll here in the chat. So a lot of guys being ruled out. Damian Lee, Lou Dort, like we mentioned, Kevin Porter Jr. John Wall is available, was dealing with a little bit of migraine earlier. I should say not a little bit of migraine, a pain in the ass. So he will be playing. Troy Brown Jr., Damian Lee, just some fringe guys that, maybe some value pieces people were looking at. But I think this is going to continue here throughout the show all the way up until lock. So one of those nights, as we say, and almost every night, you really got to be plugged in to the news. I'm already changed about half my lineup in the last 15 minutes with some of the news that's come out. So going to have to be plugged in and paying attention. So guys, we got 12 games. That means we have a lot of decisions to make. We have a lot of options available to us. So let's start at the point guard position, Chop. We mentioned James Harden, obviously a big name that's not going to be in the mix, but we still have Westbrook, who continues to put up triple doubles seemingly every night. Steph Curry, absolutely lighting the world on fire on the other side of that matchup. Kyrie, like we mentioned, Lillard back in action tonight. So a lot of ways that we can go on the high end. This feels like a spot we should spend some money on. Break down this high end tier and who are you really looking at here?
Yeah, you nailed it. I think a really good GPP play is putting Westbrook versus Steph Curry from the same game, and hope it pans out. I don't think things are going to magically change for these guys tonight. Westbrook's been putting up triple doubles, and Curry's been putting up 10 plus 3-pointers a game now for a while. So that's the high end right there. I mean, you could talk me into Kyrie Irving too. I do like Kyrie Irving tonight if you want to save a few dollars, not a whole lot, but a few dollars. And after that, though, that high end, that's it. Those are just the three guys I'm considering. Like I don't want any Luka. I don't want any Darren Fox. I'm not even sure how much he's going to play tonight after that game last night, but he probably does play. Trae Young, not interesting against the Knicks. And it's not that those guys are bad. It's just that you've got this elite three guys at the top that I can't get away from.
Derek, any disagreements here with those guys? Anybody you want to add to the mix? Any value at this position? Maybe that'd be a way to get different at this position. What are we doing here, especially with these studs we have available to us?
Yeah, definitely like the three that you mentioned up top. Kyrie Irving, always really good. Anytime Durant and Harden are off the floor, averaging 1.53 fantasy points per minute, usage rate of 34%. That game does have a pretty low spread, so you got to think he's going to see a full complement of minutes, even though it is the second half of a back-to-back. I like the idea of pairing Curry and Westbrook. Always a viable GPP strategy. Last week's show, we talked about doing it with Curry and Joel Embiid, and that worked out pretty well. I do like Malcolm Brogdon quite a bit. Talked about the Pacers being really shorthanded. His numbers go way up with just a bonus off the floor. So you also take off, McDermott and Turner and Jeremy Lamb. Those are all pretty high usage guys. So I think he's going to be really good spot against the Thunder. They like to push the pace. Their defensive rating continues to plummet as they lose games by 20 points a pop. So I like Brogdon quite a bit. If you're looking for value, Kobe White in the mid-range, no Zach LaVine. He's been starting in his place, been playing minutes in the mid-30s. I think that's at least somewhat interesting. You have Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley without Donovan Mitchell. They got a good matchup against the Rockets. And then Campazzo played 35 minutes the other night and did nothing. The fact that he played 35 minutes was pretty surprising with how bad he played. So that kind of bodes well for him moving forward. I don't think anybody's going to go back to that well. Nice matchup for him against the Blazers.
Yeah, I like the Brogdon call. He's definitely the guy. If you go to the mid-range, you can't quite get up to some of these expensive guys. It's a nice consolation. I think he's in for a big night. Projections really liking him. I think TJ McConnell, another guy if you need to save some money. And Derek, you asked about a pre-show, so I have to bring him up here. And we all kind of wondered, Yogi Ferrell is still floating around here. And you mentioned the Clippers being shorthanded, minimum price over on Fanduel. Now it's tough to sacrifice some of these high-end guys, but we haven't projected to play 25 minutes. Any interest in old Yogi Bear?
Well, using lineup HQ, pulled up his game log over here. He's played a total of 2 games this season. The last one was in January, and that's about all we have to work with. So historically, he's been pretty good in these spots, but I mean, they're still going to have Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard. I don't think you need him. 25 minutes, that seems pretty, pretty good for a guy that hasn't played in 3 months. So for me, I'll probably pass, but I certainly get it.
Chop over there chomping on M&Ms, not peanut M&Ms. So what's just the straight up old school M&Ms with all the flavors they have in M&Ms? Don't tell me that you're just chewing on the regulars.
Regular M&Ms. Oh. I don't want the peanut. Peanut's not bad, but I don't dig peanuts that much. I'm not a big peanut guy. They're okay. I'd rather have regular M&Ms. I don't like the caramel M&Ms. I mean, they're not bad. Don't get me wrong. They're all just regular old M&Ms, man. They're just, you can't beat them. So I got some regular M&Ms today.
Gotta try the ones with the brownie pieces in them. Those are good.
That's all good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they're all good.
Yeah, it's all good. You just gotta narrow yourself down to one good thing. And so for me, it's just the good old basic plain Jane peanuts.
All right. Well, that's usually the last thing when the kids go trick or treating. I'm grabbing all the Snickers.
Let me tell you what I got last week.
I'll
tell you what I did. I went for the Costco 5-pound container. So I'm stocked up, baby. I'm ready to roll.
You're good to go. You're really taking this countdown seriously. Something's got to get us through this NBA season. So why not be some M&Ms? So chat, we are here for you as well. We want to talk to you guys. So we'll get your best bets as we go throughout the show. So we'll reveal some of our best bets here at the end of the show. So you guys want to be included in that. The chat made a little bit of a run last week. Surprise, surprise. So you want to keep that rolling, get your voice heard here on the show. Get your best bets in there. We'll be keeping an eye on that. If you guys got questions, tie them into the position we're talking to, and I'll try to roll it into the analysis. If we miss you, stay patient. We'll hopefully have some time at the end to get to some questions. So let's jump into shooting guard position while we wait on SBK. Chop, another position that, I don't think there's as many high-end options as we have as a point guard position. We're missing guys like Levine, like we talked about, Paul George now out. So maybe this is a position we can save some money at if we're going to spend up at point guard position. So some of your favorite plays here, value plays, guys you're looking to hear at shooting guard position.
Yeah, this is definitely a spot where there's not like point guard where you got the big dogs. This is where you save at, in my opinion. Now you could go with Bradley Beal. That's fine, and he could be the one who has the big shootout with Steph Curry. You never know. So Bradley Beal's in the mix, but yeah, then I think I'd rather save money. And you got Joe Ingles down there, who's pretty good without Donovan Mitchell out. I worry about the Houston game even being competitive. So Ingles is okay though. Will Barton, huge game last time out. Great matchup tonight. Maybe that was the turning point for Will Barton, and now he gets cooking here. So Will Barton's in the mix. And then there's the chalky salary relief guys who I don't know how much upside is with these guys, but they should be a solid 20 to 29 points for you in that range. That's Terrence Mann. With all these guys ruled out, I think Terrence Mann's okay. PJ Dozier's been getting some run for Denver. And Landry Shamet, man, this guy, he's stroking it lately. He can't miss. So when he's hot, when an outside jump shooter's hot, you roll with it, and he's hot. And I'll throw one more name because the guy's putting up monster games here. I never in a million years thought this guy was going to be a viable NBA player. But boy, I'll tell you what, Grayson Allen is actually putting up some numbers now, man. So I know he's a Ted Cruz lookalike, but the he's balling on the court, man. So you got to give him his props out here. He's pretty cheap.
Yeah, he looks more comfortable. Even at the end of last season, he looked like he belonged. He was playing with confidence. So I don't hate that one. I think you can add Luke Kennard to the mix, obviously. Very cheap for the Clippers as an option. One guy I want to ask you about, Derek. Darren Fox was questionable last I checked, but Tyrese Halliburton's kind of hit a wall here. I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot here over the last couple of weeks. Down to 5,200. Is he an option here? Very high total game here with Minnesota tonight. What are your thoughts on Halliburton and then the rest of the shooting guard position?
Yeah, I think Halliburton, if you have a viable pivot for him in those late games, I think you can look to him. But if Fox ends up being active, it really hurts his upside. Like you said, he's just hit a wall, hasn't done a whole lot over the last few weeks. So for me, it just depends on Fox there. I do like the Terrence Mann call, has the second highest rebounding rate of the active guys for the Clippers tonight. So you get a little bit of a higher floor than him and someone like Luke Kennard, but I do think Kennard's viable as well, currently projecting as our top point per dollar shooting guard on both Fanduel and Draftkings. We all have those mental blocks with players, and for mine, it's Grayson Allen. Every day I write the grind down. I say, yo, he projects well, but I'm not going there. And he keeps playing well. So maybe I'll have to change that a little bit moving forward. Chop mentioned Joe Ingles. I like him quite a bit. I think he's averaged close to 40 fantasy points per game without Mitchell in the lineup over the last couple of seasons. And other than that, I mean, it's pretty ugly. It's not a position that I want to save up or spend up on. You mentioned Bradley Beal, but I like Westbrook a little bit more there. Devin Booker kind of in a tough matchup. So, yeah, for me, it's pretty ugly. Just take your favorite punts and move on.
Yeah, that's definitely, and there's a lot of different options. So I don't think we're going to see clear chalk at the position, which is good. We have a lot of cheap guys that'll be in play. So that'll help spread the ownership out. I mean, you may get guys 25, 30% on, but we're not going to have a 50, 60% owned guy. So I would honestly build a pool of some of these cheap guys, include Bradley Beal in it. I don't hate a Karis LeVert even. We've talked about Brogdon having to be the offense for Indiana. LeVert could step in as well, and pretty expensive at 8,200 on FanDuel, so that may keep people away with this value. But SPK is in the house, and we've been doing a little countdown here with NBA regular season. Chop tells us 24 days left, which we're excited about with all these injuries and nonstop news. I know you are, I'm sure, as well, ready to get to the playoffs. But at hand tonight, we have 12 games that we're breaking down. So obviously, teams like the Clippers, some of these teams that are really shorthanded tonight, Indiana, really the two teams that we need to talk about. So why don't you start with those two teams and then anything else that's really standing out from the projections team?
Cool. So we'll start with the Indiana side. Obviously, they do not have Sabonis, do not have Turner, do not have Gogo Batadze, do not have Jakar Sampson. They have basically nothing in the front court, nothing at center. I think that's probably going to be an issue. And honestly, it actually kind of makes me like Moses Brown a little bit more on the other side of this matchup. He's kind of been a guy who's obviously all over the map in terms of fantasy production, but I think this could be kind of a ceiling game for him. And he's somebody that, as a result of this news, I'm liking more. On the Indiana side, though, obviously, Malcolm Brogdon gets a very big bump. He's projected for 34 minutes and about 48 DraftKings points. So a pretty big spike from his normal numbers. Karis LeVert also projecting very nicely at 7.6K. Not quite as strong as Brogdon, given that LeVert's assist numbers have been kind of falling and Brogdon's have been picking up. TJ McConnell and O'Shea Brissett, I think, are the other two options that I'm kind of interested in from a DFS perspective. Brissett's like probably going to be more or less the center, I guess. Like I really don't know what they're going to do at that actual spot. But yeah, we have him projected for 34 minutes. He's really more of like a 3-and-D type of oversized wing. But I guess I'll have to kind of play bigger tonight. We have him projected 34 minutes, about 29 fantasy points, and at near minimum price, that's pretty appealing. So I think he's kind of like the value, near minimum price value target that's emerging on that side.
Another team we're keeping an eye on here, Philadelphia. Obviously, most of the big names are still listed as questionable. So any news there, any thoughts on the Sixers and what they're going to do tonight, front end of a back-to-back here?
I wish I had some type of an inkling. I mean, Doc Rivers is becoming like very, very frustrating to listen to in terms of trying to figure out what's going to happen. I mean, he's kind of changing his tune like from the afternoon to an hour before the game. It seems like it happens like once a week. So I have no real read on what they're going to do here. I imagine at least one of these guys, if not more, end up sitting. Sixers do play again tomorrow. Pretty big matchup with the Bucks. So we'll kind of see what they do. I really don't have like any kind of read on what they're going to do there. It's just like, all of the pretty much, important players beyond Embiid are questionable. So, yeah, not really sure on that one.
All right, and a quick injury. No, it looks like Darren Fox is good to go tonight. Not listed on the injury report for the game. So he will indeed be in the lineup for Sacramento. So, Chop, questions here for SBK. What do we got?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't really have anything. There's so much stuff that
Maybe his favorite M&M flavor, because I guarantee it's not just the basic M&M.
Okay, Keach, listen. All right, I'm getting railroaded here by guys who don't like my choice of M&Ms. I just like plain old M&Ms, man. No fancy stuff. Do you like peanuts? You like the caramel? You like the different stuff they put out there? What's your favorite M&M, man?
I don't see why people are shitting on the regular M&M. I think they're fine. I think peanut M&Ms are, that's gun to my head. I got to choose one the rest of my life. That's where I'm going. But I don't think there's anything wrong with a regular M&M. If there's a bowl of regular M&Ms sitting on a counter somewhere and I'm walking by, there's no chance I'm not grabbing one.
Oh, I'm not. I'm eating them. I mean, clearly, I'm a big dude. I'm eating some damn M&Ms. But you said, if I got a choice, I'm eating the peanut ones, the brownie ones.
I should have clarified. I like the taste of the peanut M. Don't get me wrong. But I think I might have a nut allergy because it does some crazy things to my stomach when I eat them peanuts. So I have to avoid the M&M peanuts.
Now it makes more sense. Now you're just not a guy picking plain M&Ms. We don't want you dying. So
there's a reason behind it.
Okay, now we know. Derek, anything basketball related here for SBK?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna ask him to power rank his M&M flavors because we've been talking about injuries for far too long. But how do you project a guy like Yogi Ferrell that we haven't seen in a few months, and he's going to get a big run tonight with the Clippers being shorthanded?
Yeah, that's probably a great question, to be honest. So there was a little bit of a coach speak a couple of days ago that they had brought Ferrell in to kind of be some point guard depth in the event that they needed to rest players, and I think Rondo was specifically the one that they had mentioned, and that's obviously coming to fruition tonight. We haven't projected for 25 minutes. I think that range is pretty wide. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if he played 30. Wouldn't also be surprised if he started and played like 18 and they kind of let the, like Terrence Mann, handle the ball a little bit, really play without like a true point guard. But yeah, we haven't projected for 25 minutes right now. I do think at 3.4K, he's in play. But the range of outcomes I think on him is pretty wide. But yeah, I mean, at that price, there is definitely a ceiling there.
All right, before we let you get out of here, favorite play of the night. I'm going to put you on the spot here for the people. We got a lot of games to choose from, a lot of plays to look at. Who is the SBK lock and load play of the night?
I think I'm going to stick with my guy Moses Brown. I remember last night as I was doing projections, like Kobe White was somebody who I'm like, damn, I think he's still kind of a little bit too cheap, and I like that matchup with that Cleveland backcourt. So I guess he's kind of 1B, but I'm sticking with Moses Brown. I'm going down with the ship. I think in this spot against a very small Indiana team, he hasn't had a ceiling game in his last 3, but I mean, he played 28 minutes. There's 40 fantasy point upside there, and at his price, I'd like that return.
I like it. Off the board a little bit, little Moses Brown. We'll talk some centers here momentarily. SBK, thank you as always, sir. We appreciate the knowledge, and back to the war room here before we get these games locked up. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, see you, boys. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys. So I see Andrew Burton in the chat talking about mixing M&Ms and Skittles in a bowl. That's
rude.
Chop, what's your reaction when you get a big old handful and it's M&Ms and Skittles? Like,
I'll tell you what,
that's pretty bad.
If I reach in there and I'm thinking I'm getting a big mouthful of M&Ms and I start like chewing on some Skittles, I'm whose house is this? Because I'm looking to fight somebody, man. That's not cool, man. That's not cool at all, man. No, not that Skittles are bad by themselves, but I don't need to be fooled like that. My palate is, I don't need to be fooled like that.
Yeah, exactly. Skittles on their own, fantastic. Mixed with M&Ms, who's the devil that owns this house? So great prank, sure, but don't do that to me because I'm with Chop. We'll have to throw down if that
Speaking
happens.
of Skittles, do you guys like the new gummies? Have you tried those?
I have not, and my kids normally are on top of everything, but this is breaking news to me. What do we got?
Skittles gummies. They got the red kind and the purple kind. Highly recommended.
Like gummy bears, gummy worms, or
no? They look like Skittles, but they're just like gummy bears.
Okay, all right. We'll have to check those out. So, back to the basketball here. I had a question from Jason Cahill in the chat. He says, pair Brogdon with Curry or Kyrie, or do I play Curry and Kyrie? Derek, any thoughts there? I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys, to be honest.
Yeah, 2 of those 3 is a really good start. If I'm having to choose, I'll go Brogdon and Curry.
Chop, what do you got there? Brogdon, Curry, Kyrie. Pick 2. We'll make it easy here.
Only because he said cash is the only thing where I would say let's get away from Brogdon, even though I think Brogdon's a great guy, great play tonight, but just being cash. I think Curry is super safe, and I think Kyrie is a little safer than Brogdon against Oklahoma City, who is in full tank mode. So you never know what could happen with Brogdon's minutes.
All right, there we go. We got the Chief in the chat helping us out as well. Talking chocolate covered strawberry. Yeah, mixing those M&Ms and Skittles. Still, no, thank you. So, all right, let's keep moving on here. We're going to go to the small forward position next. Derek, let's go to you at this spot. Again, is this a spot that we can save some money if we want to spend up at the point guard position? Got some decent value here with the Brissett. Joe Harris looked good the other night. RJ Barrett coming off a big game. You got the mid-range options, Bogdanovich, Michael Porter, Buddy Hield. So where are we going here? Seems like a lot of kind of middling options at the small forward position.
Yeah, definitely another one where I'm looking to save. You mentioned Brissett coming off of his first start in his career the other night against the Spurs, played pretty well, 23 fantasy points in 25 minutes. Got to think he's going to get even more than that with the Pacers being so shorthanded, plus they're playing at home, plus it's a good matchup. So a lot of reasons to like him. He's pretty cheap on both sides. Yeah, Bogdanovich, Boyan, that is, that I think is a really good play on FanDuel. On DraftKings, you can look for some more salary-saving guys like Edmund Sumner. Got to think he's going to see minutes in the mid to upper 20s. Joe Ingles is viable over on DraftKings as well. He's a small forward there. And then if you're spending up, I'd probably go to Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he just continues to play well. He's kind of cutting into Jokic's usage a little bit, but I like Jokic tonight too. But that's a really good game. Plus, it gives you access to that very last game of the night, which is always kind of nice to have if you're sweating your DraftKings lineups on the app.
Yeah, I like Porter a lot. He's really stepped up, pretty much become a double-double machine. I'm excited for that game. It should be a good one. So he's definitely the guy if I'm spending. I agree. And then you mix in one of these value plays. Brissett probably be my favorite at this point with the minutes projection we have on him, right around 34 minutes. Chop, small forward, we talked Michael Porter on the high end, RJ Barrett maybe, a lot of mid-range and cheap options here. So what are your strong leans here at small forward?
My strong leans are super cheap or at least reasonably cheap. And I'm going down to Bogdanovich for Utah, the Utah Bogdanovich, not the Atlanta guy, the Utah guy. He's been playing real well with Donovan Mitchell out. I think you can expect some more of that. Joe Harris is okay. I think he's more GPP than cash, but Joe Harris in this with all these guys out, I think is fine. A guy who should get you some solid production for cheap is Patrick Williams against Cleveland. I think is a good matchup, and he's getting a little more run. He's super cheap on FanDuel at 4K. And I think you can go with, I don't hate on the other Bogdanovich if you had to go there, but like RJ Barrett scares me a little. I don't think he's a cash game play. He's kind of cheap, mid-range-ish, but boy, if you saw the game last night, he came out in the third quarter and got hot from the three-point line. That's the only thing that salvaged anything, but sometimes he's not hitting those three-pointers, and man, he puts up duds. So I don't even think you need him tonight. And the only guy you could possibly spend up on, I think, is Jimmy Butler. And I'm not feeling that either, coming off an injury against San Antonio. So I think this is a place where I live and die in that low range, and that'll allow me to get those 2-point guards I really want, and then that'll allow me to get the center I really want later on that we'll talk about.
All right, we'll get to that. A little tease, Chop. Well done. But I'm going to add Kenrich Williams to the mix here as well. OKC going to be kind of thin, projected for a bunch of minutes. I agree on Barrett. I like him. He's cheap on FanDuel, but looks like he's going to be pretty heavily owned as well. So he's one of those boom bust guys, and this could be a lower scoring game. No, Derek loves them New York unders, so it's not going to be a big shootout here with the Knicks and the Hawks. So just keeping an eye on that ownership with RJ Barrett. Got a lot of other cheaper options I think are viable here at this position. So Chop, let's stay with you. Let's move on to the power forward position. We know we're missing Kawhi Leonard once again with the Clippers. Another position, I don't see a ton standing out on the high end. You got Porzingis, guys like that, but some value. Julius Randle, high end guy as well, Christian Wood. So there are some plays there, but there's value here as well. And I'm going to start with OKC. And we got Poku. Mainly we got Darius Bazley, who's my favorite play at this position. Agree or disagree there? Who else are you playing at power forward tonight?
I think Bazley's good, and both those Oklahoma City guys are good. All of them, really. They're pretty short-handed. So those guys are good. I would agree with you. Julius Randle is, and he might be one of, if not the safest player on the board almost, outside of maybe the point guards. Like Julius Randle is a really good player to spend your money on in cash games because, boy, Thibodeau was going to run him into the ground. It doesn't matter. And this is a huge game. This is a game for playoff seeding, and he's not going to take his foot off the gas pedal. And that's what we love about Thibodeau coaching in fantasy. And we're going to get Julius Randle if this game's competitive, which it should be. We're going to get Julius Randle playing a lot of minutes tonight. So that's always good. And so that's your spend up right there. And like you said, cheap guys. Harrison Barnes is still somewhat affordable, and with the injuries to Sacramento and the game last night in this, the game last night hit 254 or some all-star type of score last night. So Harrison Barnes is in play in this matchup right here. A guy that erupted as a pretty decent play right before the show started was Marcus Morris, with all those guys out for the LA Clippers. So Marcus Morris is on my radar. If you want to take a little bit more risky and go a little bit more cheaper, Isaiah Stewart's playing pretty good for Detroit. They got a lot of injuries and they're tanking. So this is definitely the spot to save some money on one spot, at least on FanDuel. One position here, you grab a cheap one. The other one, I think you grab Julius Randle.
Isaiah Stewart is doing what my boy Sekou Demboya was supposed to be doing. So yeah, he's really been great, playing big minutes for that team. So I like that call. Super cheap over on FanDuel once again. You can play him at power forward, which is nice. Basically get another center in your lineup. So Derek, a lot of value at this position. We talked the OKC guys. Chop brought up some other names, Morris, Isaiah Stewart. So anything to add to this position? Is this where you want to spend in this kind of mid-range cheap side? Or you see any higher end guys outside of Julius Randle that are viable tonight?
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered the position of all the guys that I'm looking at. I do like the OKC guys with Baisley and then Pokusevski, who I've never said out loud, and I think I did a pretty good job. So shout out. I think he's pretty good on FanDuel. DraftKings value, if you're looking for a really under the radar guy, Royce O'Neal at 4.5K. And then the only other spend up that I'm looking at, Draymond Green, just a guy that can give you a triple double. Really good matchup against the Wizards that game. Pretty close spread, pretty high total. So I like that quite a bit. And Chop mentioned Harrison Barnes. I think he's going to fly under the radar. I didn't do a whole lot last night against the Wolves, but it is one of the better matchups on the board. And like you mentioned, that total just continues to climb. I think it's at like 239 right now. So don't mind some Harrison Barnes as an under the radar guy.
So chat, we see all these questions and Devin is doing a great job kind of combining all of those. And we're going to get to them at the end here of the show. So keep firing those questions. Devin will keep track of them and we'll do a little rapid fire and try to get everybody's questions answered. We love talking to you guys in the chat, but we need your bets. We need those best bets from the chat here. We're going to go to that segment here shortly after we cover the center position and provide you. I believe we have 11 bets between all of us. I got a couple bonus bets to try to make up some ground from the weeks that I missed. So get those best bets in that chat. And again, you throw caps, you throw a mortal locks, you throw things like that. That's going to increase your chances of getting put on the sheet here. And the chat's been on a roll. So keep that going. Get those best bets in the chat. So Derek, let's stay with you at the center position. SBK came on and dropped a bomb and said Moses Brown, not only the best center play of the night, but the top play of the night in his opinion. So talk that one over. Rest of the center position, obviously we're waiting on Joel Embiid, but we got Jokic. We have a lot of money saving at some of these other positions. So are we going cheap with a Moses Brown, or are we spending up on some of these premium centers tonight?
Yeah, I mean, if Moses Brown crushes, you're going to have a big leg up on the field. I mean, we have projected at 0.1% right now at about 25 minutes. So if he gets off to a good start, we know he's going to get a little bit more run. They still got Tony Bradley there. At least I think Tony Bradley's not been ruled out yet. So I definitely don't hate that call for large field tournaments. For me, the two positions to spend up on going to be point guard and going to be center. For me, I like Jokic quite a bit. Good matchup against his former teammate, Jusuf Nurkic there. In Portland, I think no Murray, no Monty Morris. So, the offense is going to run through Jokic. And there's not really any other options that I would look to. I mean, Rudy Gobert is always fine in cash. Vucevic has been playing really well without Levine on the floor. So those are certainly viable options. But for me, it's just Jokic.
All right, Chop, let's get to you. Center position, Moses Brown, play of the night. So we go in there. You said you had the center play of the night. So I'm waiting to see, is it Moses Brown or is it Hey,
whoa.
You said, did it?
Said I like the
no, did he
center.
not say, I got a center I want to talk about later? So maybe not the play of the night.
I said a guy I like to spend up on. Well, here's what happened here. When they ruled out Goga, who was the guy to go to at this position, now it changed everything because you had your one center on Fanduel, and you can only use a couple of straight centers on Draftkings, and so he was going to be that guy. You couldn't. I didn't think you could pass up on it. So he's out. So now you have to pivot. Well, I think my pivot is two guys, but the number one guy I really like was Rudy Gobert in his matchup against Houston. I think it's a good matchup. They're going to tear Houston up, I believe. I think he'll do his damage before he gets out of the game with no Mitchell. So his numbers are going to stay similar with the rebounds, and the assists may go up just a tick, but not really anything. But he's taking more shot attempts. He's getting the ball in his hands a lot more on offense with Mitchell out. He's bumping his scoring up to 17 points a game, which for him, he's going to get by on blocks and rebounds usually. And you throw in 17 points a game, and he's gonna smash usually. So I like Gobert here, and just hope he can get some minutes, close to what he normally gets, and that's good. And if I'm not going him, I like Vucevic too. It's a good matchup against Cleveland. So I'm right there in that mid-range, 8,800, $8,000 for those two guys. I'm not on the Jokic train tonight. I'm sure he's going to put up big numbers, but he's super expensive. Certainly not on Towns or Embiid or any of those expensive guys. And the low dollar guys don't do it for me with Goga out. So I'm in that mid-range, and I'm going Gobert 1, Vucevic 2.
All right. I like it. A lot of ways you can go at center tonight. So some great calls there. So we're going to get to these questions, but first we got to get to our best bets, and I'd be doing everybody a disservice. I got to call you guys out. I went 2 and 3,
Oof.
figuring I would allow you guys to catch up a little bit. Couple goose eggs for our boys here. So I know they're going to turn it around this week, but the big news is the chat puts together a pretty good week here, 2 and 1. They now have surged into second place right on my heels at 22 and 20. So I already saw one mortal lock in there, Chop. So I hope we took that one down for the chat. But chat, we need 2 more picks for you here on the segment. I think it was a Washington Golden State over was the lock from Christopher Burnham. So there's one for the chat. But guys, I know 0 and 3 is stinging you. So let's give the people some winners tonight. Chop, let's stay with you. What do we got here for this Wednesday night?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like 0 and 3, I mean, just missed out on a couple games, but that's what happened. So I'm hoping to bounce back. I took a lot of time this morning to make these bets, or to really focus on them. So here's what I got for you. Number one, and the easiest one that jumped off to me, Utah minus 11.5, for all the reasons we've been saying. And this was earlier in the day before Porter was even ruled out. But Houston's just tanking, and Houston can even keep games close at halftime. And the minute they sniff that they're going to maybe win a game, they pull the plug and they tank. So I got Utah minus 11.5. I got Portland plus 1.5. I really thought with Murray out, Portland getting a little healthier, that I think this spread could be reversed. I think Portland at home could be the favorite, but they're not. So I'll take 1.5. I got Portland plus 1.5. And I'm going to contradict the chat's on fire, man. They're red hot. I'm going to contradict the mortal lock. I'm going under on the Golden State Washington. I know that these two teams combined for the highest pace in the NBA. So theoretically, this game is scary because this game should get up and down. But they also have a couple of bad offenses as far as efficiency. And they played the same game played about 12 days ago, and it played out just like that. It only ended up at 217. So I'm going under the 238.5 on the Golden State Washington game.
All right, I'm seeing another lock in the chat here for him, Chop. Thunder plus the 9 from Andrew Burton. He even put the lock symbol in the chat. So we got to award that one. We got to put that on the sheet. So chat, we need one more for you. They're asking Chief if he's got any help for him. So maybe the Chief will help the chat out. Derek, I know you're in for a turnaround here tonight as well. Give the people some winners here.
I was going to say we got to give the chat the Thunder plus 9 because I like the other side of it, and I need to make up some ground on the chat. So
perfect.
Look, the Thunder, they've been losing 11 in a row. They've lost by an average of about 20 points a game. I don't care if Indiana has nobody out there. They're going to beat the Thunder tonight. So give me them minus 9. I like the Bulls minus 2.5, just a motivation thing. Cleveland, nothing to play for. Indiana fighting for playoff positioning in the East. And then the under on the next games, always take it. Especially when they're at home, dead last in pace, third best defensive rating in the NBA. So give me the under 218 in that one.
All right, it's a big week for you two. Chops up looks like a half a game in one game in the loss column on you. So looking to get your head above water. I'm going to provide 5 picks to make up from the weeks I was gone. I'll give you 5 more next week, and that should even us up for the season. So I'm going to go with Brooklyn plus the 4. I know Toronto's healthy, gets everybody back here, but Brooklyn's played pretty spirited. Expected them to kind of slip and fall at that Philadelphia game. They hung in there. They've been playing pretty well. So give me the Nets plus the points. I like the over in the Detroit-Dallas game. I think Detroit could do enough, keep this game close enough where we can cruise over that 217. I like the Knicks at home here. It's playing good ball, no doubt. Atlanta's been solid, but I think the Knicks win one. So I don't hate the money line, but I'll take the 1.5 points. I'm going Golden State -2. As good as Washington has been playing, Steph Curry is just on another level right now. I think he can will this team to victory. So like the Warriors, -2, and I'm going to agree with Chop. Really like Utah here. Houston has mailed it in. They don't care. They don't want to win games. I think Utah, even without Donovan Mitchell, rolls in this one big and easily covers. So I'll go Utah -11 there. So 5 picks from me, 6 from these guys. Hopefully we go 11-0. Chat, do we have a third pick for the chat here, Chop?
Yeah, we do. We got in fact, we got 3 picks, and these were the 3 that said lock. They lock on it. Mortal lock or lock. So over on the Golden State, I'm gonna give them that because I need to, like Derek said, I need to make up ground too on them. So then give them the over while I got the under. I'm gonna give them Oklahoma City plus the 9. And then we had a lock from Andrew that said over the 239.5 on Minnesota, Sacramento. So I'm gonna give them that over also.
And Chief coming in, I like this pick a lot. Malcolm Brogdon over 22.5 points. That's not going to the chat, but we like to give out winners here on the show. So I think that's one you want to go and take advantage of as well if you do a little bit of player props. But we got some time left over here, so I want to fire through as many of these questions that we can get through. So I want to go all the way back. Devin's been keeping track of all of these questions. We are just going to go fire them off here. So let me find them here. All right, from Unicorn, thoughts on Terrence Mann from the Clippers? I think we all are pretty high on Mann. Chop, what do you got?
Yeah, with all the rule outs, I think he's definitely in play. I don't think he's going to set the world on fire, although maybe he does have upside, but I definitely think he's a nice, safe play tonight.
All right, from Keelan, he's on Fanduel. He wants to know top targets from the Atlanta, New York, and the Utah, Houston game. Favorite centers from those games. Chop, I know you like Gobert. Looks like he's looking for some value here. No value in the Knicks and Houston game.
I'm not really looking to target anybody. Knicks Houston game. Utah, I like Bogdanovich quite a bit. I like Joe Ingles quite a bit. I think Ingles might be a little too expensive for the 3 to 6K range, but those are my favorite 2 on FanDuel. And favorite centers, really just Rudy Gobert from those 2 games.
All right, Chop, we'll go to you on this one from King. FanDuel Cash, Harkless or Brissett? I think we're all on Brissett on that one.
I mean, Harkless. No, I'm not on Harkless, so we'll go Brissett right there. We've heard from Harkless before on the show, and I think we all wondered if he was still in the league or not. But no, I'd go Brissett. Harkless is he's had enough time in the NBA. He hasn't done anything up until this point. Let's go Brissett and give him a shot.
He's in the Yogi Ferrell category. He's even still in the league. Derek Christopher wants to know thoughts on stacking Curry, Westbrook, and Embiid. I think there's plenty of value in there if Embiid does indeed play. What do you think?
Yeah, I ran, locked in Steph and Westbrook and Jokic to see if it would work on FanDuel, and it does. So if you want to do Embiid instead, you certainly can. He is questionable, and so is Simmons and Harris. So definitely keep an eye on that one.
All right, quick answer from both of you guys. Is Randall the best pay up tonight? Chop.
Yes.
Derek?
No.
There you go. No. All right, Michael wants to know thoughts on the Cleveland bigs in large field DraftKings GPPs. Love, Hartenstein, Allen, Dean Wade. Any love there, Derek?
I just don't think you need them. If you're looking at Dean Wade, I mean, there's got to be 10 other value plays that you'd rather prefer. And the other ones would be a lot better in a shorter slate.
All right, Chop. Andrew wants to know, with Paul George now being out, who's your favorite pivot on the Clippers tonight? We talked about Mann. Anyone else you're really high on there?
Yeah, Marcus Morris is probably the guy I think scores the most tonight.
Okay, and K-Mac just threw a question in, so we'll circle back. Marcus Morris or Aaron Gordon tonight, Chop? We'll stay with you here on FanDuel GPP.
As much as I want Aaron Gordon to be a thing in Denver with Jamal Murray out, he hadn't shown it, and Marcus Morris has shown with these guys out. he can put up some points. So I'll go Marcus Morris.
All right, from our boy Morningwood Blues, DK GPP, Derek. I know you mentioned Sumner. Do you like him for value tonight on DraftKings?
He's okay. He wouldn't make my first lineup, but maybe my third or fourth lineup in the tournament.
All right, both you guys on this one. Andrew wants to know who's the bigger lock tonight, Curry or Irving, and what is the minimum percentage for both in 150 Fanduel GPP? So first off, Curry or Irving, Chop.
Curry.
Derek.
I'm gonna say Irving is my lead pipe lock. Curry is my mortal lock. So do it that way you will.
Yeah, we'll have to have a lock segment here, how we break that down. But what percent do you want in tournaments of these guys, Chop? If you're maxing a Fanduel GPP, where are you setting that number at on these guys?
Fanduel, I'm setting it at like honestly, Fanduel, I'm going like 60 Westbrook, 60 Curry, 60 Irving, and then a little rest of it would just disperse between Brogdon and Kobe White and some other guys. But I want those three big time.
I like it, going big. Derek, any thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, I'm probably the wrong guy to ask. I haven't made more than one NBA team all season in a single slate. So not the guy to ask, but I like the idea of going 50% of, Westbrook, Irving, Brogdon, and another one we mentioned.
All right. Mark wants to know Xavier Tillman. We have no Valanciunas tonight. Triple J, I saw earlier, may make his return, but I don't expect him to play big minutes here. So Tillman, Derek, on DraftKings, yes or no?
Played really well the other night against Jokic. I certainly think you can go there. I think he's 4.2K on DraftKings. But again, a lot of good value plays. So I wouldn't call him a must play by any means.
Chop, Andrew wants to know favorite value plays currently on FanDuel. I love the currently because things change by the minute, but who are some of your favorite values overall on FanDuel tonight?
Patrick Williams, Terrence Mann. Based on the price tag, Joe Harris is really cheap over there. So Joe Harris, those are three that I'm seeing way down there. And then Bogdanovich from Utah is 54. I guess you could put that as a value play. Kobe White at 55. But yeah, those first three I mentioned, Mann, Patrick Williams, and Joe Harris, I think are really the best bang for the buck.
All right, Derek, a Unicorn wants to know, and I think this is a great question. How many cheap players or players getting bigger minutes because of injury do you play in a line? And I know it's not a set number each and every night, but say a team like the Pacers. How many Pacers is too many tonight? Or Clippers?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more about how much you're spending on one team in particular, and you can get a lot of these guys for cheap. I don't think you need to stack a team tonight because there's so many that are shorthanded. For me, I mean, it's just all about if you like enough stars to make the values fit, then you play the values. So for me, I'm going to have a lot of stars and a lot of scrubs in there just because that's basically what NBA DFS is at this point.
All right, Christopher wants to know, great name, by the way, FanDuel, Randall or Wood? Chop, I already know Randall's your guy, so I'll give this one to Derek on FanDuel. Who you like better, Randall or Christian Wood?
Yeah, I'll go Randall in that one.
All right, Morningwood wants to know, dollar for dollar, Chop, is Stewart the best center play on DraftKings tonight?
Man, I don't know. What's his price on DraftKings?
I want to say 40.
It might be.
He's pretty cheap. I lost the price.
It might be, but I tell you, Zubac emerged at the end with all these scratches, so he's on the radar. And I think Zubac gives him a run for his money.
All right, Derek. Andrew wants to know thoughts on Lillard. Only 8,400 on FanDuel tonight. All these other stud point guards. What do you think of Damien Lillard at that cheap price?
Yeah, a guy we didn't even mention, which shows how deep the position is. Certainly a good price point. We know he plays up to his competition. I don't think the Nuggets really have anybody that they can stick on him. His numbers have certainly dropped with McCollum back, but I don't hate it.
Chop, another Stewart question. Jason wants to know on FanDuel, Poku from OKC or Stewart at power forward tonight on FanDuel?
Stewart is so cheap on FanDuel. I gotta go Stewart.
Yeah, I like both those guys. I would lean Stewart there as well. Derek, what about running Ja Morant and Kyrie Irving tonight? Thoughts on that combo?
Don't hate it. Don't think I'm going to get there myself because, again, I like Curry, Westbrook, Irving, and Brogdon as my top 4 point guards.
All right, K-Mac, we got to the Marcus Morris. Ricardo, favorite single entry center on FanDuel, Chop. So FanDuel, we only get one, and you only get – I'll go to Derek here. One lineup, one center. Who is it?
Unless Embiid is active and both Harris and Simmons are out, then I'll go Embiid in that case. If not, I'm going to go with Jokic.
All right, Chop. Keelan wants to know in a Fanduel GPP, thoughts on Clint Capela tonight at center. Been killing it on the boards lately.
He's been killing it, but at what cost? Because you can only take one center, and I like Gobert and Vucevic even more for a little bit cheaper.
And we'll squeeze in Bill here. He said, what am I missing on DeLon Wright, Derek?
Not much. I don't think you need him.
He says 3 games of 26 minutes, 3 straight 7x value. The Optos hate him. So I just think there's other plays that make more sense tonight. So, guys, we rattled through all the questions. So hopefully it helped everybody out. We thank you, as always, for stopping by, hanging out with us here on Wednesday night. Loving doing these shows. Thank you to Devin for helping us out as well. Make sure you guys hit that like button on your way out. Make sure you take advantage of the RG Premium, $5 for 5 days for some NBA. So check it out. Heading into the playoffs. Promise you're going to like what you see. So, guys, any quick final thoughts here before we get out of here? Derek.
As a wise man once said, close your eyes, envision the win, and you'll get it.
I like that. Chop, any final thoughts here besides those boring-ass M&Ms you're eating over there?
As another wise man once said, close your eyes, put your head between your legs, and kiss your ass goodbye with all this injury news that's about to come.
And as a wise man once said, pick some damn flavors in your M&Ms, people. Thank you for stopping by and watching. For Notorious, for Head Chopper, I am Beer saying salut. Best of luck tonight, guys, and we'll see you next week.